When I watch the film, it touches me, but more so, I want to dig into outside of playing this role and getting into the rhythm of the vernacular and somewhat spending a lot of time in Compton. Was this out of the ordinary for you? Did it put you more in contact with police brutality than you ever had been? Did it step up your awareness?
Absolutely not. The police that we worked with were actually really good guys. You know, we...
No. I mean...
No. I get what you're saying,
okay.
But it...
Have you ever been tossed around, is what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm trying to use, for lack of a better term,
right.
I have been harassed by the police several times.
Okay.
You know, so it didn't... I was just surprised that we made such a powerful build, you know, with such good people that we were working around. Because I think it's important for people to know that it's just not about race, it's not about, you know, nothing. It's just people in positions of power just having a flash out moment, you know what I mean? But as a people, I think we have to understand that it goes both ways. You can't fight fire with fire because it's gonna make fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just a thing where with this film, we can hold up a mirror and just say, hey guys, just check yourself out, see if you're good, you know what I mean? Because the police brutality situation is real. That's really real, and it's for everybody.
That's the scene outside of the recording studio, man, I want to pop up in that movie screen. Like, if you don't know these men alone.
And look, Gary didn't tell us that they was going to slap the burgers out our hands. Slam us on the ground. For real.
He looked so like, wow. He got really
so confused.
That was some.
The reason you feel that way, the reason that scene is so like everybody gets upset, because by then in the movie you know you're dealing with good dudes. You know you're dealing with dudes that's trying to do something creative and positive. You know that you're not dealing with your average everyday thug, you know what I'm saying? Even Easy trying to come out the business that he was in, trying to change his life. So that's why it makes you mad, because you know they're good guys being harassed. So, you know, when we see a guy on TV, you know, remember, he could be one of the good guys out the neighborhood getting harassed. You know, it's not always what it seems.
Absolutely, and that empathy wants to cry out for those young men that we see. Corey.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we met in New York after the screening there, and I learned something about you. Where did you go to acting school?
Corey.
I went to Juilliard.
All right. Yes, trained. And so you told us the story of getting the call from your agent, which I love that story. Please say, because the thing is to always remain open, right? Like open doors bring great things.
Right. So I was working, I was doing Broadway, I was working on Shakespeare of all things. And I remember my agent calling about the movie, and I've been hearing about it for a while, because, you know, it had been percolating for a minute, but he was like, yeah, going for, they want to see you for Dre. I was like, what? Me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I don't look like Dre, I don't think I sound like Dre. I'm like, you know, all the doubts that actors kind of go through in their heads, you know, before. So my agent was like, man, just go into the audition. I was like, listen, I'm not going. I don't think I can do this. I don't want to be the one to mess it up. Listen, I know this story's about to be huge, and I can't, you know, mess it up. And he was like, okay. So he called me back 8 o'clock at night, and he was like, you didn't go in, man. What's going on? Cass calling me. I'm like, I told you I wasn't going in to do this, man. You know. So one thing led to another. I ended up Skyping with Gary, and when I knew he was on the project, I was like, obviously sold. But you know, then I found out they were producers on it. And I just remember flying out to L.A., did the studio test with these guys.
Back up for a second. You murdered it. Come on. You murdered it. I remember experiencing the audition. Actually, my casting director, Cindy Tolan, sent to me. She's like, man, this is great. And I called Dre, I think in the middle of the night, like, yo, you have to see this, you know? And you can continue your story, but you can't just skip over the fact that you murdered it.
The audition was incredible. It wasn't about Biggie. I just remember going to dinner. We all went out to dinner, watched the playoffs. We ain't talking about the movie at all. Like, we was just kind of, you know, chopping it up. And at the end of dinner, you know, he had the audition on his phone. And I remember, like, we was looking at it and, like, passing it around. And I was like, this is crazy, you know? No, it's a blessing, though. You know what I'm saying? To be able to step in and to tell this story. Because, like they said, it's a human story. So it doesn't matter where you come from or where you know, how you do it. It's just, it's a story that we can all connect to.
Well, you know what, being from the East Coast and watching N.W.A. live and videos, I didn't think you all laughed. Y'all seem pretty serious. Like, I wasn't clear on the comedy. Let me ask you, with N.W.A., not just being a band, but being a moniker for the community, tell us about that.
I mean, we represented Compton, we represented the West Coast, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, at that time, I didn't know how important we were at that time. You know what I mean? I just wanted to write rhymes. I know Cubes wanted to write rhymes, put Compton on the map, but we stood for so much more, you know what I mean? We was like representing the whole city, and then we started representing the whole coast, and it's just crazy today how we just represent a whole little period of time.
A movement.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like a movement. Like, just like last night when we was at the premiere, it just seemed like a dream. Just, you know what I mean? From being in the studio back in the day, just writing rhymes and trying to put it together, all of us in there grinding with the same goal and dream. Wow. To be there last night, to see everybody respecting that movement, like Dre said, it's a movement, it's incredible.
You know what? I think it's very important for, you know, all of the people across the globe that are listening, especially young folks who are artists, who are dreamers, who are, you know, creative, that you stick to the grind, and no matter how small it may seem at the time.
You stick to it, you know what I mean, and you do what you want to do and don't worry about the consequences. You know what I mean?
Because
and don't compromise.
Yeah, because we did what we wanted to do. The lyrics, the music. We didn't let
you was chasing a lot of women in there.
I took more.
I mean, well, you took a couple for the team.
It wasn't like I was asking Gary to give you a new woman.
Wait till you see the director's cut.
We cut out a lot.
But I'm sorry to cut you, Yellow. What were you going to say?
I mean, it just, we did what we wanted to do, and we didn't let the FBI, MTV ban us, no radio play, nothing. And the message from the movie is, young people, whatever you are, painter, writer, whatever it is, you got a goal, you got passion for it, just do it. Don't let nothing stop you, and don't change it.
Yeah, we stepped up to every challenge, and there was a lot along the way. Because as we was doing this music and just having fun and living out our dream of being on tour and being on some of these big stages and these big shows, we had the weight of the world kind of starting to line up against us, you know, and we started to have these people coming from all directions to try to discredit us and try to really stop us, you know, from the FBI to the police to people like the PMRC, which was ran by Tipper Gore, which is Al Gore's wife.
Black preachers.
And it was, you know, people from our own community, you know, it was elders from the black community that didn't understand what we were doing. So we had forces starting to line up against us, and we stood up every time. And we didn't let nothing shake us. We didn't let nothing stop us. And, you know, we passed every test. And that's why we're still here.
Absolutely. So in the film, Easy says N.W.A.'s art was a reflection of their reality. How did you use your lyrics to represent what you all saw in Compton? Ren, you can speak to that.
I mean, you know, it was no holds barred, you know what I mean? One thing Easy said to us, and he was like, man, just do what you want to do. We didn't have nobody telling us we couldn't cuss on the records. Whatever we wanted to talk about, we could talk about. And we went through so much, it was just so simple when we got in there just to write what we saw.
So the song, The Hell with the Police, right?
Yeah.
Right, that song, was there anyone in the studio that said, whoa, y'all going real far with this?
No.
Everybody was down.
It was just regular. It was just like another song really at that time, like when we was doing it. We just felt it was just another song on the record. We had no idea the reaction we would get from the record.
Well, wait a minute, hold on. Hold on,
It's
Ren.
truth.
Nah, I'm telling
Ren,
you.
you looked at me in the studio, we was playing this back, and you was like, this is gonna start some shit.
I didn't know it was gonna start that type of shit. That was some different shit.
So courageous. I know that I've learned, you all, the cast, had to learn the entire lyrical take on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear from you. What's going on over there?
Well, you know, that was really one of my favorite parts of prep. You know, we had to go through so much hard stuff. You know, the album was us having fun in the studio together, you know, building chemistry amongst us, which is what you need for a film like this. And that's my element. You know, I've been seeing him get down with these songs forever, you know, so that I really had a feel for it. If you could tell in the film, when you see it on Friday, go see it on Friday.
That's right.
And, you know, that added to our appreciation and to really connect with what we were doing. You know, you feel like them songs are yours. You know, you wanna really portray them the right way when you feel like you had a hand in creating it. And we had to make sure our voices were right, telling each other, nah, man, you need a little bit more air on that one. You know? That ain't it.
You had one another's back, which I think is really important. What's great that I've learned, somehow I must have missed that Dr. Dre scratched. Yeah, like that's where it all started.
Yeah, I started out as a DJ. I was a pretty popular DJ here in Los Angeles. I actually had a radio show that aired on K-Day, a station called K-Day back then.
15 something, right?
Yeah, it came on at 5 o'clock every day, the traffic jam, you know. And I became a really popular DJ out here. And I think that's one of the things that made me a great producer, because just learning how to sequence and knowing which song comes next and what have you.
I'll be in the party saying, Trey, play this. You're like, not yet, not yet. Trey, play this shit, man, it's hot. Not yet, not yet. Party get full, now's the time. Trey,
Nice and easy. Okay, so from Instagram, for Dr. Dre, Q, Bryn Yellow, we have an Instagram question at Bennett M. Darshan. Did making this movie bring back a sense of nostalgia between you all?
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Oh,
Laughing the whole time. Every time we see each other on set, like, can't believe this shit. Fun, man. You know, it's like just being up here with these dudes, you know, we created something great, you know, like 25 years ago, you know, and here we go, creating something great now, you know, us. Still here doing it. You know, the N.W.A. family tree is vast, it's big. It's, you know, people, you know, without N.W.A. you don't have nothing. You know, it's like, we don't do the Friday movie without N.W.A. We don't do It Was a Good Day.
Right, which leads to the Italian Job and negotiating law-abiding system. All this stuff that I did was connected to these guys working diligently in a garage, making sure Outta Compton.
Yeah, I mean,
Same here.
no Boys in the Hood movie.
Y'all
It's like no Eminem, no Snoop, no
beats.
people, no beats. It's like it all starts here.
No beats.
It all starts
Well,
here.
you know what, it actually brings me to, in the movie you guys were able to infuse the DOC and Snoop. And so just knowing all of the lives that you have touched and the musical impact that you've had, and now, a new project. Why now? I mean, have we been waiting?
Yeah! Oh, you mean the album?
Yes!
I mean, you know what? I was on the set of the movie. I was leaving the set every day, and I just felt so inspired, you know what I mean? And I just decided one night on my way home from the set, I was just gonna roll my sleeves up and start working on this album. And I got to maybe the third song, and I said, you know what, this is starting to sound great. I should go on and complete this. And then it snowballed from there. And it came out exactly the way I wanted, you know, and I got a chance to work with a lot of new exciting musicians, artists,
singers, rappers, and what have you, and everybody just came and gave their best job, and it came out incredible. At least I think so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Definitely.
So we have another question from Instagram for Shay, Corey, Jason, Neil, at Steph Badilla 92, well, underscore 92. Was there a moment where you guys got emotional? Of course, yes. This is someone who obviously hasn't seen the film. But yes, how emotional did you get?
Well, you know, during the scene, you know, these two have the most heavy emotional scenes in the film, and it's a blanket on set. We're usually laughing, we're usually joking around, but there's a blanket over the set where you just, you know, it's quieter. Nobody's joking, you know, you want to keep your man in his mode as much as you can. You want to help him as much as you can to stay in pocket.
Right. I think that, you know, we fought, you know what I mean? We fought through a lot. Yeah. And we really had a lot to do. We had a lot of ground to cover in like a little bit of time. But when we did the scene where Tariq, you know, passes or whatever, I think as men, we don't really throw that to each other that much. You know, we don't cry, we don't hug each other. We don't do all that because it's just not cool, you know what I mean? But that day, it was like crazy because everybody was touching each other, everybody was like, but everybody was crying. Even though you might not see it on camera, you know, because they got a lot, you know, to go in this little bit of time. But I remember that day and I remember how it was. It was like, it was thick. You could cut it with a knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
And that was we filmed that at the beginning of the movie. Right. And so Gary, you know, here you go, you know, genius.
Strategizing.
He, you know, we filmed that at the beginning of the movie, and that bonded us. We was already brothers, like from the jump, right? But that really sealed it. So then we went on the ride of the movie, and like the ride at N.W.A. all the way up until Eazy's death. And that really took us because we shot that towards the end of the week, and they called it the easy week, you know, because like this guy right here, I mean, it was just, I just remember it being so tough to just sit there and watch our brother Jason in that go through that, and he kills it. I mean, he completely embodies that.
You know, at that point, I think you can look at him in the hospital gown. You dig what I'm saying? Because, you know, we're acting the part. It's easy, but that's Jason, man. I can't see
it. It was very, very, very emotional for these guys. I set it up and actually scheduled it in such a way so that they could bond, and so these moments were actually real because they actually became friends. But I remember when we shot the scene with Eazy in the hospital, I actually had to create an environment for Jason to become vulnerable and let go and tap into real pain. And I nurtured him through that process, but Neil started to watch. And I actually had to nurture him as well at the same time because he broke down watching Jason break down.
And then I showed up to set. I remember showing up to set, because we shot all that like within a compact time. I remember showing up to set, and y'all were leaving, and I'm coming up there like, hey, what's up, guys? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? We about to shoot this, you know? But as soon as I walked in the building, everybody was like, I mean, it was just silent, you know? And it was respect for the craft, the respect for Eazy's memory and his legacy. It was just a heavy day, and then we just had to drop in and go.
I gotta thank Gary for breaking out the noise. I mean, he blocked out all the noise of the
He
set.
took care of you.
Yeah, exactly, so that we could, you know, feel that and have that together. And he didn't, you know, he didn't let outside influences get to us. He let us really be in that moment and feel it. And I mean, the man's.
You know what's great about that though? On some real stuff. What's great about that, and I suggest everybody do this, especially if like you don't like yoga or like, you know, you got problems at home. Like sometimes you might want to cry. Cause after that, I felt good. Like, you know, a lot of people it was quiet, but I had a smile on my face. People was like, how can he feel like this? But it was therapeutic, you know what I mean? Because I lost a couple of friends shooting this movie. I'm from New Orleans, you know what I mean? And it's real. And like, I had a lot of things to cry about, and I just didn't think that it was affecting me like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was built up in me like that, but I mean, I feel better, you know what I mean? So like, for those of y'all who feel like crying ain't cool, you might want to reevaluate.
Let it all out. You were the only one who didn't have the person to go to find this inspiration. How were you able to tap into Eazy-E?
This is my Eazy-E right here.
Okay.
these guys love that dude, for real. You know what I mean? And I really feel like they wanted him to have the right mark left on the world. You know what I mean? It kind of happened all fast, where it was like, you know, the group broke up, then, you know, money problems, and then he dies, you know? And he was so much more than that. He was the beginning of this. You know what I mean? Without the bread, it wouldn't have been nothing. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think it was just more about me hitting the mark for those who it mattered to.
Right.
You know? And the preparation, don't get me wrong, I had to make a full transformation. I had to drop the accent, I had to learn how to walk and talk. The whole nine.
Can you do a little
give
walk?
Give your LA accent.
Give an LA accent.
Give your LA accent.
Hey, what y'all want? What y'all want me to say? I mean, I'm already out there.
Where the money at?
Kick a rhyme and walk easy, walk.
Oh, man, so y'all might have to pay for that. Yeah, but I remember the day I felt like I hit the mark, though, because we had to do this test, and it was like no costumes, no nothing, and we had to do like a performance to see if we really had the thing going on. And after my verse, Dre was like, ah! I was like, yeah, that's what's up.
They went through a lot. They went through a lot. You know, I don't want to, let's not minimize at all what they did, because you look at movies like Raging Bull and see what De Niro went through. He gains weight and loses weight and all this type of stuff. These guys went through separately a lot of different things. They went to boot camp, they recorded the album. You had to eat 4,000 calories a day just to bulk up to take on Eazy's physical appearance, right?
And that's, look, wake up, boxing, then the gym, then you go perform, then we go rehearse, then I go home and do homework to try to figure out Eazy-E. You know what I mean? That was my day every day.
Incredible.
Well worth it. Well worth it.
Thank you.
Now, shooting in Compton in the same places that these events happen added a level of authenticity to this project that both Gary and the members of N.W.A. and the cast held so dear to themselves throughout the making of this entire film. Talk to us, Gary, about what you all did to ensure that the story was told properly.
It's really interesting. You know, I've been on this project for 4 years, and we had to do it, you know, for a budget. And the original conversations were, hey, listen, we can't afford to shoot this in Los Angeles. We have to shoot this somewhere else where there's a rebate. So we talked about shooting in New Orleans. We talked about shooting in Miami. And even a conversation came up about shooting this in Boston. And so straight out of Compton in Boston, the much as they hate the Lakers, I was like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So we made, like, yeah, uncomfortable, look at them. But basically, it was like, you know, I thought that it was really important to shoot in Los Angeles because LA and Compton and South Central is like the 6th member of N.W.A. And, you know, tapping into this story, I wanted to show the why these guys made this music and what forged N.W.A. was Compton and Los Angeles and all of the good things and the bad things about the city. And so keeping it authentic, keeping it really real, we wanted to shoot there. And a lot of times when you shoot in these other places, you have to shoot really small shots so that you won't see off and see other things. And I've done that in different movies, but this one we had to shoot in LA, and these guys really helped. And to see them come to Compton and hang out and kick it, the community opened their arms, and it was all love. It was brilliant.
Absolutely.
It was great.
I couldn't imagine this being shot anywhere else.
Yeah.
They were bringing
Couldn't
food
do it.
to set. They was like sleeping on rooftops and like bringing their babies to set. It was just, it was surreal. Like,
Magical. Brought the whole
It was
community
dope.
together. So, okay, so I want to get off the grid a little bit. In the movie, I did see you and Eazy seem very committed in relationships that ended in marriage relatively quick with you all being young. Was that something that was instilled by your parents, or, because I think on the East Coast they say single for as long as they can. I don't know what's going on. Help me understand.
No, I mean, when you find the right one, you better keep her.
Yeah, that's all it is. Don't let us get away. Find the right one.
I love that. Early commitment. I love it. So now, what's going on over there?
Yeah, thank God or he wouldn't be here. sitting here.
That's so real. You know, people ask me, what do you want people to take away? I said, you know, besides just loving the story, having fun, and being taken back, and having a trip down memory lane, and all these things, and its history, I want people to be inspired by what's happening behind the scenes. You know, people talk about the lyrics and, you know, all of these things that you can focus on with just what's happening on the surface, but these guys have been married for over 20 years, they're family men, and if you could just look at how things actually turned out and how they started in a garage and an environment that was sometimes dangerous, sometimes destructive, but made something really positive out of it, to be inspired by what's happening now outside of the movie. That's part of the movie. Right. It's like, look at them now. They're still standing, and a lot of us didn't make it. Yeah. You know, not on this level and not with this positive outcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so Facebook, Will F., we're in the social world. I've been told, this is what he's saying, I've been told over the years the music wasn't for me, specifically white kids, now men. My question is, as someone who can never fully relate to what N.W.A. spoke about through rap, am I wrong for claiming a connection to it these past 25 years?
Not at all. Not at all. You know, this music, it's like fine art. It's for everybody that want to see it, and everybody that want to hear it. So, you know, this was a way to experience what we went through from a safe distance. You know what I'm saying? So it's fine. It's cool. You know, I watch, you know, shit like the, you know, Discovery Channel. And I'm like, I wouldn't get out there with them damn lions and tigers and bears, oh my. So, you know what I mean? It's cool to look from a safe distance and still stay interested, still be, you know, aware and know what, you know, your fellow Americans are going through. That's fine. Nothing's wrong with that at all.
Absolutely. Did any of you want to comment on that? Randy?
Our first tour, man, it was filled with white people, so they were already.
I saw that in the movie, a lot of the audience.
You know, we was shocked when we went on the road and we looked out there like, damn, you know what I mean? But,
like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's for everybody, man. You know, we don't discriminate.
Right.
And now what it is, our music, we did, I guess it was so real, and just people outside the ghetto just like, what's going on there? You know, they're interested, and it just caught on. And like you said, 90% of the audience was white.
The music was just good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah, no color lines. Where music resonates with everyone, you know that it's real, it's authentic. It's
honesty, it does that to people.
Honesty.
And everybody goes through a stage, no matter where you're from, that rebellious stage when you're a teenager and you don't care about a lot of things your parents are talking about or what's going on in school or whatever it works out. I'm not saying do anything bad, but I'm saying we go through that stage, and I think that N.W.A. tapped into the rebellious nature in all of us. That's why it transcended race, it transcended just background, and also where you're from.
Culture. What are the elements of the story or themes that anyone could relate to? Is it an American dream story? If so, how so?
Rags to riches, David versus Goliath, inspirational breakup to makeup. You know, it's like damn near everything you can cut up when it comes to relationships. But this movie has everything, you know, and it has, you know, stand up for yourself, know your business. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know your business. You know, so it has many layers. That's what's so great and brilliant about what Gary Gray put together, that it has many layers, and every time you see the movie, you will peel back another layer and have another appreciation for the piece.
You know, I was just thinking, because just traveling across the nation, and there's all these different things happening as it relates to Black Lives Matter and this campaign. I'm wondering, what do you say to your son to help him through any scenario? I understand that parents are telling their kids, okay, you do this if ever stopped, don't do that, say this. Have you advised him in any special way?
My instructions to all my kids is make it home. That's your only order, and that's your only instruction. Make it home no matter what. That means do whatever it takes to make it to the house. And you know, the fact that we live in a world where we have to remind people that Black lives matter is terrible in itself. We all got to check ourselves that we even have to remind each other that each other matter. So, you know, I tell my kids, make it home. You know, that's the most important thing. Don't nothing else matter.
That's right.
Not to me,
That's right.
but that you make it home.
I hear you. I hear you. Yes. We want you alive and well. For N.W.A, why was now the right time to make this film, and how are we facing similar issues today that we were facing all the way back when F the Police came into it?
Well, you know something? Before we came along, it was already going on. And it was deep in the ghetto back then. You know, we go places, get on the ground, you know, lay face down. But nowadays, 26 years later, it's like the same thing going on, like the song, brand new again. But the thing is, everybody got cell phones, they got body cams, car cams, but they got the police, you know, not all the police. It's just the ones that cross the line, like Q would say, they got to be accountable for what they're doing. But I'm going to tell you the solution. You give one of them 100 years on the main line. That will start, okay, we got to watch ourselves now. You got to stretch them. You stretching the criminals, they criminals too. So you got to stretch them. No probation, no parole, nothing. You know, because they just, now it ain't a color what they doing. It was just blacks first. Now it's women, any color, any race. They don't care no more. They just going crazy.
It's just a power trip, you know what I'm saying? It's, bully tactics, you know what I mean? It's like power tripping. So it's the weak against the strong. Yeah.
Once audiences leave this theater after seeing this film, what do you hope they leave with, Mr. Gary?
Well, like I said earlier, I want people to have a great time, but I want you to be inspired. You know, for some of us, it's a trip down memory lane. For some of us, it's a history lesson with great music. But at the end of the day, like Q said, we touch on a lot of themes that are universal. There's tragedy, there's triumph, there's brotherhood, there's rags to riches. But at the end of the day, when you really examine it, there's a lot to this movie. Watch it and just be inspired.
Ren, what do you want them to leave?
You know, I want them to take away, man, like they could see all the stuff we went through. You know what I mean? Our struggle. You know, and like Q said earlier, like the message of it all. Like you could do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Don't hold back. You know what I mean? Get that in your head that whatever you want to do, just go out there and do it. Don't worry about the consequences. Don't compromise yourself, and take that with you.
Dre?
Just inspiration. That's all it is. It's just if you really believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, just stick to it. And hopefully this movie inspires you to do just that. Just stick to whatever you feel like you're good at, first of all. And just, just stick to it and keep pushing.
That's right. That's right. So Corey, yeah, y'all go ahead. Inspiration is huge. It moves mountains. What was it like having Dr. Dre there showing you how to be on the wheels of steel?
Oh man, that's like we always say, we feel like we hit the life lottery, man. Like that's crazy. It's wild because I remember that day on set. Because Dre usually, you know, he sit back and he watch, you know, he sit in pocket and he just, you know, watch the monitors and kind of let me do my thing. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that because he does that with his artists too, you know what I'm saying, in terms of music, you know. He likes to give other people a platform, you know, people that he believes in and just kind of let them go. But I remember that day on set, it was the scene at Jinx's house and we were working on It's Time and I remember everybody was like, Dre's coming in, Dre's coming in, Dre's coming in. So everything stopped, man. Everything stopped. Like people was working on the lights, they started hanging and people was just like, and everybody turned and I remember he came in and he just looked at the tables because they were so authentic to the tables that he used to use back then. Everything in this movie is so authentic. And he was just like, you know, kind of showing me just kind of how to get down on him. And it was surreal. And I didn't have my cell phone to capture it. You know what I'm saying?
It had to be there, moment.
But it was it was just powerful, man, because he was there every day, you know, being a mentor, being a guide. All of them were, man, and it gave you that boost of confidence, you know, to see the man in action.
Dre, let me ask you, how does it feel to hear him describe what a room is like before you enter with them on their way?
That's weird, man. This is the first time I've heard this story. I did not know that. But yeah, at the beginning, what I told Corey was like, I don't want you to just start staring at me trying to copy my mannerisms or trying to copy the way I talk or anything like that. I just want you to understand the character, take it, embody it, and do your thing. I just wanted him to be comfortable with it. That way he was going to be able to give the best performance.
Absolutely. And you did. You did.
All of you.
Without question.